So, after looking at the monitor, just turning to see the doctor's face freaked me out automatically. But of course, I didn't react because I didn't want to stress out the babies more than the stress that they were going through. So she looks at me and says, "We need to save your baby, and there's no time to sign a consent, so I need your verbal consent for us to move forward with an emergency C-section." So I said, "Do whatever you need to do to save my babies." So of course, I planned on, having a natural labor and whatever, but things don't go as planned. And, I remember the stigma of hearing about a C-section, like, girl, don't get a C-section, the scar's ugly, or the recovery sucks. But at that point, nothing mattered to me but to save my babies. So they rushed me. Eliseo didn't even have a chance to come into the room with me. Everything around me was just scary. Like, I remember looking at the doctors and everybody looked so freaked out. And I was like, "Keep it together, Vero, keep it together. They're going to be okay." So they take me to the room with the bright ass lights. And the anesthesiologist was like, "I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to put you out so they can get started. You're going to be okay." And I'm like, "All right, whatever. Do what you got to do." So I get put down and I can't see anything or feel anything, but I can hear everything that was going on. I literally felt like I was dying in that moment. Everything that was going through my mind was like, what is going on? Like, am I still alive? Like, it was just so weird. But I've never been through something like that. And I've been put under anesthesia for a few surgeries that I've had in the past. But this was completely different. So, as I'm sleeping, as I'm out, I can hear everything just rushing, and you just hear the noise of like the medical equipment, like just clinking and whatever. And I'm just praying in my head, like, "Save my babies, God, please save my babies, save my babies." So in the midst of all that and praying and everything, I hear my doctor's voice just say, "Code white." That was the scariest thing I've ever felt. Oh shit, I forgot I have mascara. Code white. And I just said, "Please, God, save my babies." And from there, I was just completely out. I don't know what happened. So, me having had worked in the hospital, I knew what a code white was. So you can just imagine, like, I just wanted to jump out of my body and help my baby. But I couldn't. While Eliseo was out, I'm sure he heard the code white, but he had no idea what that meant. He didn't know. From my understanding, he was just waiting and just hoping everything was okay. So I wake up in the recovery room, and as soon as I wake up, I'm like, I need to talk to the doctor. What happened to my babies? I need to talk to someone. So the doctor comes and she's like, "Okay, your babies are in the NICU. They're in the NICU and they're stable right now, but we'll just see what happens." So I said, "Okay." I couldn't even cry. I was just so shocked. And I just remember the nurse, I think Eliseo had stepped out for a moment. And she comes in and she tells me, "It's okay to cry." She made me feel like my emotions were valid. Like, it's okay to not be strong. Because I just went through some traumatic shit. So I cried. And it's so hard for me to cry in front of people. And I'm doing it now because it is okay. And life is not all rainbows and butterflies. So I remember I cried, and it felt better to just let everything out and say, okay, that was good. What's next? So they took me to my room, and right away, they get you to start pumping and get your milk for your babies. My babies were born at 25 weeks gestation. You start thinking like, what is their development like? What? When you're pregnant, you get the apps that tell you your baby's as big as this or that, or your baby weighs this much. I was trying to remember, like, what did my app say when I hit that 25-week mark? But it's just so different. So at least I was able to see the girls in the NICU before me, because I was still under the medication, trying to recover and everything. And he came back, and, I just see this look in his face, and I was worried, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, the girls are okay. They had a rough start. They really did, and we didn't know what to expect. And he didn't understand a lot of the tubing and stuff that was there, the incubators, but, I just wanted to see for myself. So I waited till I recovered, and I want to go see my babies. So when I got there, baby A, Eliana, she was born. She was the first one, born at 9:25, weighing 1 pound, 11 ounces. Eileen, baby B, was born a minute after. She was born weighing 1 pound, 3 ounces. Their skin was like really red. They still weren't obviously, full term. So their skin just looked really like red. You can see all their veins, everything through the body. Eileen was intubated. She's the one that coded in the delivery room. And they were so tiny. But from that moment, I was so proud, because these girls were literally fighting for their life. Like, it wasn't even about me. Like, everything became about them, because they were fighting for their life. And I didn't know what they were going through. Obviously, I know it was a lot, but internally, like, they couldn't say, like, they were in pain or anything. Sorry. They're babies. So I just had to wait. I had to wait and just see what happens. So, yeah, Eliana, she was on oxygen support, but she was on the bubble CPAP, where it's only a machine that adds pressure to your lungs just to help you breathe. But she was doing the breathing. It was just helping her. And Eileen, she was intubated. So she wasn't breathing on her own. The tube was doing it for her. So, yeah, we just had to wait and see. And their lungs are not even fully developed till, like, I believe it's like 32 weeks. So with them being 25 weeks old, you can just imagine the babies needed help with so much. So I was trying to take it day by day and just see what happens. So I was discharged after a few days. And I remember when they were born, the girls were born, and seeing them in the incubator. Eileen, baby B, she was moving everywhere. And I remember I was so proud. I was like, dang, she's kicking butt. Like, she's fighting. Like, she's so strong, Like, look at her. Like, she's just like, what's up, Eliana was a little more calm, but she was still moving. So I remember after 2-3 days, Eileen, baby B, her movement decreased. Like, she stopped moving. And I remember she was just still. Like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Like, she was just so active yesterday, you know? And I was kind of scared to ask, but, you know, as a mom, you want to know what's going on with your babies. So I asked the doctors and I said, you know, what's going on? So the doctors were like, you know, we're going to order a head ultrasound, because we've noticed, you know, it just happened so sudden. And babies don't get a head ultrasound till they're about 7 days old. But because of that change that happened, they were like, we have to do it to see what's going on. And she was about 3 or 4 days old. So they said, we're going to do it. Eliana wasn't showing any different signs. So they said, you know, they're going to hold off her ultrasound till the 7 days. So I said, okay. So they went ahead and did the ultrasound for Eileen.